GLG leaders. My name is Andy Peters. I'm the OP for the Georgia Legacy Group, and it is my distinct honor to do these segments with you guys on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, kind of our general schedule. And just a quick reminder, the purpose for these really is to tell the stories of the leaders within and without outside of our company, right? We've heard from some amazing people thus far. We hear people's stories. We hear their tales of overcoming adversity. This is really just meant to be a bright spot, an inspirational journey, if you will, into the lives of our leaders. So I'm thrilled to kind of go deeper with one of our big time leaders, Loredana Ghete. And Loredana is the team leader, newly appointed team leader at Keller Williams North Atlanta. Thanks for being here, Loredana.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I am honored, and I'm out of my comfort zone. I'm not scared to speak, but today I'm so out of my comfort zone.
Good. We're going to stay there. That's where growth happens, by the way.
Yes.
So we're going to stay there. So I want to make sure everybody can hear us. If you can hear us and you can see us on Facebook, just type a quick, like, I'm here or something, just so we can see it on here. I know Leslie's outside watching it as well. Hopefully we don't have any technology challenges today. We have been known to have those. There is quite a bit of bandwidth struggle going on right now, all over the place.
When we struggle, we grow.
That's right. That's right. So, all right, good. We've got one that's already saying that they can see us. So we're rolling. So tell me, Loredana, tell me a little bit about you and how did you find real estate?
What can I tell you about me? I usually enjoy listening to other people's stories. So it's a little bit out of my comfort zone to not to necessarily to share mine, but to talk about myself. It's not who I am. I usually enjoy listening. But today I'm going to talk about myself because I realize that we are part of a family, and as family members, we need to know each other, and we need to know each other at a deeper level. So how did I find real estate? Real estate was in my life ever since I was born. My parents always were investing in real estate.
Where were you born?
I was born in Romania, and I grew up in Romania, actually, in a small town called Zalău, and it's actually in the Transylvania region. That's why I cannot donate blood. I'm kidding. I can't, but that's not the reason why. Yeah. So I grew up in a small town like Alpharetta, in Transylvania, and I am one of 4 siblings, and a happy family. Yeah, we're still very close. I mean, we talk to each other every single day. And real estate, I think my mom is addicted to real estate, honestly. I honestly believe it's an addiction because every single time she had some money, she doesn't have savings. Every single time she had some savings that could cover for a down payment, she would buy something. Like, we can't have money in the bank. You have to go buy something. She was sending my dad to buy something. Yeah. So that's how I found real estate.
So she was a wealth builder.
Yes.
So was she buying properties like for rental properties or for commercial investment? What kind of properties did y'all buy?
Commercial properties and land. Commercial properties, they live off of rent right now. So it's not about, they live off of rent. So I've had that in my family ever since I was a girl. Yeah, my mom is the brain behind that. And my dad is finding the deals and negotiating.
So I want to get into that. So you say they're living off their rent right now. So that's their primary source of income, and they're living off that reoccurring revenue generated by your investment properties.
Exactly, and they don't have any payments. So all of them, of course, they're at a certain age right now, right? So they managed to pay off all their investment properties, and they're mostly commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now they are experiencing, by the way, talking about COVID, right? They're experiencing all their tenants coming to them and asking for either deferred payments or, support.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I think that probably a wise landlord would help people in the short term in order to keep them in the long term, right? And I think everybody that owns property right now, everybody that owns businesses are running into that sort of thing. So yeah, this is a short term solution, right?
Absolutely.
So so talk to me about like coming over, because you have a beautiful story of immigration. Why did you come here? What brought you here? And kind of what was going through your head at that time?
It's so interesting. So it all started with my brother. My brother moved here 20 years ago. And I first came to United States in 2002, and I spent the summer at my brother's. He lives in Pennsylvania. And I loved it. I loved it as a vacation. And ever since 2002, we have been visiting the States every year for at least 1 month. Every year. So it was just like a family vacation. And slowly I fell in love with the people. I fell in love with the system. I fell in love with the places. And it took my brother about 14 years to convince us to move over here. Right? I think he was all those invitations, all those invitations to come on vacations were so, I don't know, strategically planned by him. And why did we make the move at the end of the day? Honestly, of course, you don't make a move just because you enjoy vacationing somewhere, right? Obviously. The reason why we made a move was to offer my daughter, I have a daughter, right? And to offer my daughter the opportunity of choice. And what I mean by that is, I like to think that I'm a big thinker, and I always look at the political environment, at the economic environment. It's not just about the short-term success, or, oh, do I have money to go to the movies, or do I have the financial support to live a good life, and that's it. No, I like to think that I'm a big thinker, and I was looking at the political environment in Europe, and if I look at back at the history, I really wanted my daughter to have the opportunity to choose, in case something happens in Europe, to have the opportunity to choose to live in US and the other way around, and to be protected. Because why do we need the state? Right? The state, the government. We need the government for protection at the end of the day. That's the only reason why we need the government. That is the only reason why states exist at the end of the day, is to protect people. And I wanted to offer my daughter also the opportunity to grow and to make her box bigger. We both have a box. And I really wanted her box to be bigger. And we said, okay, it's not going to happen in a small town in Romania, right? That's not going to happen. Regardless how successful you are, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, it could, but there are definitely bigger places.
Exactly. Yeah. The opportunities honestly are limited, right? So to create that environment, we said, look, we have that opportunity to move into a country that honestly offers everything. I mean, offers the environment that to succeed, right? And that was it. It offers the environment to succeed, and it offers everything you need to work towards reaching your potential. I believe that people will never reach their potential ever, right? Because it's always about growing. And my mother taught me that, by the way. For her, is never enough. Yeah.
The one thing talks about that, right? That nobody knows their true potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the reason why I really wanted to expand my daughter's box and to create the environment of choice for her.
Mm. Love that. Now she is how old?
She's 16 now.
Yeah. So she's actually starting to make some of those choices now, isn't she?
Well, I'm pushing her to make her own choices ever since she was 5th grade, and I'm not. I'm letting her. It's hard. I'm actually letting her make bad decisions, and I see those bad decisions, and I just go into my room and I'm like, oh my god, don't do that. But then I let her make her bad decisions, and it's interesting to watch the lessons that are being learned, and it's interesting to not necessarily interesting. It hurts sometimes to see that they struggle.
Sure.
It's not easy, but one of the things that because one of the questions that, because you told me a little bit about the layout of the conversation.
Yeah.
And yet one of the things that I really wanted to offer for my daughter was that independence that I grew up with. And I feel that nowadays, I don't think it has anything to do with just being in the United States. I think it has everything to do with us being too controlling in what we want to do for our kids. I actually work hard on offering that independent environment for my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's harder here because people judge.
Mm.
And you get judged for wanting to offer that. And just to give you an example, when she was 5th grade, right, their social life was at Avalon. It's their social life, right? And
Sure.
And what they wanted to do, they just wanted to get out of the house and spend time with kids, right? Now, 80% of parents were chasing those kids, right? Like I don't know, 2 feet, 6 feet, right, behind them. I was actually just dropping her off and picking her up. And people were asking me, "Aren't you? That's not even. Aren't you afraid? Somebody can kidnap her. Something
Right.
can happen to her." And I said, well, a car can hit her on the driveway. Anything can happen. Again, I try to train my brain not to focus on what can go wrong, right? And I started to do that ever since she was great. And she actually went to school in Romania until 4th grade. And in 1st grade, because I had that experience and I enjoyed that, to walk to school, and I was walking actually 20 minutes to school, and my parents didn't drive me to school. We had a car, right, but they didn't drive me to school. So I wanted her to have that experience and to not take everything for granted.
Yeah.
So in 1st grade, I said, okay, you're going to walk to school. She's like, Mom, all my friends are being dropped off. I'm like, I have been dropping you off for your first, in kindergarten, for your first semester from the 1st grade. Now you're going to start walking. And it was winter. And I can tell you that I was crying 6 feet behind her because I was chasing her. She didn't know. I'm like, who am I? I mean,
Yeah.
am I a bad mom? And then I took a step back and I said, no, I'm just not going to do that. I want to grow a strong child. And I want her to know that she can do anything she puts her mind to. And in order for me to be able to do that, I have to give her some independence. Now, did I do the right thing? I don't know yet. She's just 16. We'll see how she ends up. Right?
But you're doing a great job.
As of now, I'm proud of who she has become as a kid. She's teaching me lessons every single day.
Yeah. Well, and I've said this publicly many times, like, I believe you work harder than like 3 people. And probably one of the biggest things that you and I work on is what?
Me spending more time with literally focusing on myself and my family. Where does that work ethic come from? I thought about it, and honestly, I think it starts from my childhood. Like I said, I'm one of 4. And I was a good student, but as a good student, I had to work hard for it. I mean, I was always so envious in the good way, right? On my brother, who he went to school, he had all these great grades, and he never opened the book. I mean, never opened the book. I had to work hard for my grades, and that was something that I had to develop, right? I was competitive. I am competitive. I wanted to, first of all, being a middle child, I don't know how many of you are a middle child. Being a middle child, you have to find your way. You really have to find your way. And I had to work through it, right? So it started with school. And then in my business background, I always was the youngest person in the room. Always. I always hang out with my brother's friends. Yes, I had my own friends, but I always enjoyed hanging out with my brother's friends because they were older. The conversations were different. For some reason, I was attracted to adult conversations ever since I was a kid. And in order for me to be taken seriously, right? Because I actually I got married pretty early, 21.
Yeah.
So and we actually opened our first business at 21. And in order for me to be able to be taken seriously, I had to work hard to generate results and build that validity. And nothing was. I had to earn everything that I have, and everything that I've always had. Ever since my childhood, if I wanted to buy something, if I wanted something, and I actually appreciate that the way my parents educated us. It's they never said no, but they made us work for it.
Yeah, it's a yes with conditions, right? I love those conversations with kids. It's like, yeah, you can have that. Here's how you get it, and you're not going to just get it given to you, right?
Yeah,
I think that's great.
Yeah, and also I've always seen. My parents are hard workers. If you were wondering, you've never seen someone working harder than I am. I have, and that's my parents. They don't have to work. Honestly, they don't, and they still work. They have orchards. They don't have to work the orchards, and they still do. And
orchards? What kind of orchards?
Cherry orchards and plum orchards.
Wow.
Yes, it's fun. They don't have to work those, and they do, and they work them as a business. It's not just, okay, let's just pick some cherries, right? And that's it. They work those as a business, and they don't have to, but they're hard workers. And I've seen those role models in my life. And like I said, nothing has been given to me. And I had to work very hard for everything. And mostly, I think, for some reason, I have the impression that I had to work harder than anybody else for everything that I've had. Like I said, ever since my grades in school, right? Yeah. I had to work hard for my grades. My brother didn't. He was, and then in business, I had to work hard to not necessarily be taken seriously, like I said, to build that validity.
Well, you're clearly a good student. You ask great questions. You definitely push your way into rooms, but perhaps what's created a lot of success for you is you get into action on things, right? You learn and you take action.
Yeah. To me, learning without implementing something of what you're learning is just makes you a better person, a smarter person. But that's it. It's all about how can you impact more people. I love people. I've always loved people. Yeah.
Well, people love you too. Obviously, you can see some of the comments going on here on the side of it. So let's talk a little bit about KW, because well, first of all, when you came to the United States, you really didn't speak a lot of English, did you?
I did, actually. I did. I came to United States in 2014, so only it's not 6 years, five and a half years ago.
Okay.
I did not speak English like I do today, obviously, and I'm not speaking English right now like I will do in a year from now, because it's a constant learn. Even native English speakers, I believe that languages are something that you always constantly have to develop. So yeah, I did, but yeah.
Yeah, you and I have had this conversation before, and it reminds me of a conversation that I had with Michelle Rios in Chattahoochee North, and she said, I may speak with an accent, but I don't think with an accent, and I think that's a very powerful way to look at it.
And I took that, when you shared that with me, I took that to a whole different level.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So when you came in 6 years ago, when you came in to the United States, how long did it take you to find your way to Keller Williams?
Not long. So when I came here, let me tell you a little bit about what I did before, and the reason why I got into real estate. So what I did before, we've always had businesses. At 21, I got married at 21. At 21, we opened our first cell phone store, and we've grown that business from 2001. We've gotten to have 14 stores by 2009.
Wow.
So yes. And on top of that business, which honestly I'm very proud of, on top of that business, what we did, we also created few other businesses. One of them was we were importing cars from Germany, and we were financing them and selling them out. Used cars, of course. And another one, because real estate, right, related. Another business that we did, we used to lease, which we still have that business, by the way. It doesn't require a lot of involvement, and my husband is actually doing that. We were leasing commercial spaces. We were dividing them in smaller units, renovating them, and sublease them to small businesses.
Like work or Regis or like one of those services you see currently in the States.
Yes. So obviously, ever since I was 21, I've been involved in a lot of businesses. And what I've learned from that is by 27, and I remember I remember my thoughts when I went to bed. I was 27 years old, and we had 60 employees. And I went to bed one time, and I said, it felt like a burden, honestly. It feels like a burden, that type of responsibility of making sure that the business the businesses that you run and the businesses that you create are responsible to feed that many families. It's a huge burden. And sometimes all that age, 27 is young. Yeah. It's young, right? And that limiting belief of, it was not a limiting belief, it was more like, I don't know, actually it turned into something positive. That burden turned into something positive because I didn't have a choice to fail. There was no choice to fail.
And so people were counting on you.
Yes.
That was what drove you.
Exactly. And that was the reason why we opened the other businesses. And that was the reason why it's just, I don't know, once you get bigger, the responsibilities are higher. And the, I don't know, the responsibility of the making sure that people around you are okay, that weight's heavy. It just does. It just does. So I always went to bed with a grateful heart. I was grateful for the opportunities around me. But again, going back to what my mother taught me, always pushing for more for some reason. Yeah, because I remember conversations with my brother, and he said, I don't know, this is a blessing, and this is something that he's like, do you understand that we're never gonna be not happy to, content, satisfied. And I'm like, I don't even want to be happy and satisfied. I mean, I want to be happy, but I don't want to be satisfied. But sometimes that just that continuous run just weights on your shoulders. Sure. So, which is good, which is a good thing. So that was my business background. And when we came here, in 2014, we sold the business, which made me very proud. I don't know, it's not easy to build a business that is sellable. Mm-hmm. It's not complicated to build a business, but then to have a valuation, then it becomes complicated.
Yeah, I want to dig into that for a second, because I think as a real estate agent, we have to ask the question. I ask this a lot of recruits, right? Is what happens when you stop working tomorrow? What happens to your business? Do you go out of business? What is your succession plan? And I would say 9 out of 10 times they look at me like I have a third eye. Like, well, what are you talking about, right? They don't understand valuation for a real estate business. But like,
and I can tell you why.
Yeah. Well,
because they're practitioners.
And like Gary says, a lot of people think they have a real estate business. They have a real estate job, right? And you don't have a business until you've given away every job that needs to be done. And then you have a business. And the great news is at Keller Williams, we teach you how to do that, right? There's actually a book about that. And there's, leaders who are skilled at teaching you how to do that. So yeah, I love that. I think that's a great comment about valuations and building something that has value that you can actually go and sell, because I think we do that.
Mm-hmm. Actually, when I first read MREA, I realized how many mistakes I've made. My husband and I made in our business. Mistakes not that held us back, right? We could have grown the business to a totally different level had we had the systems and models, or had we had the knowledge, or had we had the I don't know, the mindset that we have right now, right? We've learned a lot, obviously, but now when I see the MREA, it speaks to my heart. I'm like, oh my God, this has been there forever, and I haven't picked it up. And by the way, it applies to, I don't care if any service-based business. And we had a service-based business. That's what we had. A service-based business. We had, even with the plans, with the cell phone plans, right? Every 2 years, people renew their plans. So we had the 36 touch, but in a different form, in a way, in a very basic form. We had our database. I mean, I had people calling me, hey, my subscription expires, right? And I'm talking about businesses. I'm talking about, hey, we're paying $2,000 at that time. That's how much they paid, $2,000 a month for phone services on our business, right? Can we meet and talk about a different plan? Yeah, absolutely. But it was a 36 touch. We had those conversations. We had that database. And now when I'm reading the MREA, it applies to so many levels. Many levels. Yeah. So
we see lenders. I was actually having a really fascinating conversation with a lender in Chicago the last time we were there. And he said, I've read MREA 10, 15 times, and I set up my, my mortgage company, which is his team. I set it up using all the MREA models. I was like, that.
Yeah. And one of my goals actually is to make sure that I help as many agents as I can to develop that business mindset. Because once that is developed, and once you train your thought process to think that way, oh my God, then, only then, sky is the limit.
Yeah. So I've always considered you to be so positive. Like you're such a positive person. Where does that come from?
Believe it or not, that's a trained skill. I am not.
It's a big mask, huh?
It's
You're
not a mask.
terrible
Not a
person.
mask, because now I came to a point of thinking that way without even having to think about it. But it took me a while, and this is what happened. So I remember in my childhood, like I said, my mom was always the driver, right? She was always pushing for more, always the person that, hey, we have some money in the bank. We can't have money in the bank. She literally had that mindset. And my dad always came with the, no, we don't need this now. That was his instant answer. No. And I've analyzed my mom constantly. She is so smart. So my mom constantly made my dad believe that those were his ideas, and that's how she was used to getting the first no, right? She already had the objection handled. By the time the answer was no, she already had the objection handled, and she was training my dad to think that was his idea, and everything worked great every single time. Every single time. So later on in my adult life being 21, 22, 23, when we started to grow our business on the cell phone side, right, with the stores and so on and so forth, every single time my husband came to me with an idea, I was like, yes, but. And he's like, do you want me to change the way I communicate with you so that I get the same result as your mom is every single time? And then it dawned on me. I'm like, oh my God, this cannot happen. I've watched my mom slowing down because she had to, right? Until she had my dad's buy-in. I'm like, I don't want to be, again, my dad is awesome. I mean, he is the bubbly person, but he always had that, and it was not a negative thought. It was that first instinct of, why do we need that? We don't need that, right? So we don't need to, why would we get out of our comfort zone, right? So when my husband told me that I was 22 or 23, it just dawned on me, and I had a big aha, and I said, never again. I'm gonna bite my tongue, and I'm gonna bite my tongue, and I'm not gonna say anything until I listen. So even till this day, I'm training myself to listen more, and I think that's what matters. It's listening. But how did I develop that skill? It was not easy to develop, right? So I literally bite some. Right now, it doesn't come anymore. It just doesn't. It's not a mess. It just doesn't. I wake up positive. I go to bed positive. Now, everything turned the other way around. And I was having a conversation with my husband the other day. I'm like, are you that negative person now? Did you just say no to me? So we're laughing about it. But it's just about we can't control the first thought. We just can't. And the first thought, my natural behavior is being skeptical. That's my natural behavior. My adapted behavior is being positive. So I literally, the first second my first thought comes to mind, I kill that thought. I don't even think about it. If you ask me, what was your first thought? I don't know how to answer because I killed it so deep that I just don't know what I cannot word that thought. So I just focus on the positive side. How can we make it happen?
Well, that helps you stay out of judgment too, right? You mentioned that earlier. One of the hacks, especially you and I both, we do a lot of recruiting, we do a lot of interviewing. And I have a tendency to want to talk too. Like I want to get my story out there, right? I'm a high I, like I want people to like me. And so I started writing, I don't remember who taught me this, but I started writing WAIT, WAIT, at the top of my notebook, right? And what does WAIT stand for?
I had it. I had it on my. I forgot that acronym, but I know. I mean, I see it.
It's why
am I talking?
Talking.
Yes.
Wait. Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because I think that helps people to kill the first thought, because we all have tendencies, we all have personalities, we all have biases, whether we like it or not. And the first thought is kind of instinctual. And I think we have to stay in curiosity when we're building relationships with people, right?
Yeah. I believe that honestly, every single time, first thought is usually skeptical or negative. Mm-hmm. It is, regardless how positive you are. But you can train that. You can train that, and you just become that positive person. And honestly, in the morning, I have two choices. I have a choice to smile, or I have a choice not to. So I choose to smile. I just choose to smile. And honestly, if you smile, you cannot be negative. You just can't.
It's true.
You can't. It's just you can't.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk the Keller Williams story, because I think this is really cool. Because I want to know, like, how did you end up in that KW office? And I'd love for you to tell the story about Melba and kind of how that she grabbed you and kind of pulled you in. Tell us a little bit about that.
So when I came here, I didn't do anything else other than I just registered to take my real estate classes. I knew what I wanted to do. I took the real estate classes, and then I have a friend that used to be an MCA at the Sugarloaf office. And she actually, at that time, Celia Reese was the team leader. And she scheduled the appointment for me. I joined the office. And then 8 months later, this is what I did. When I saw the amount of resources that the company had, I took Ignite, and then right after I graduated Ignite, I took Bold. And I took Bold, by the way, I remember Stephanie Brewer was my Ignite buddy, Stephanie Brewer was my Bold buddy, and I took Bold at the Roswell Market Center at that time. It was back in 2015, and as an agent. And I was actually my business started to, I moved from a different country. I was in the country less than a year, and I already had business going on. And
what? You can't do that.
Yeah, you can. You can't. It's not easy. I'm not going to say that it's easy. When I first door knocked, after I door knocked, I called my husband. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what is this? I'm like, I'm not begging for anything. And he's like, take a step back and think about, why are you doing? Is this the only way? Is it something that and after 2 days, a neighbor, because I door knocked my neighborhood, and a neighbor called me and he said, hey, 2 days ago, you door knocked. You remember we were having dinner and I didn't have a chance to talk to you. We're ready to list.
Wow.
After that conversation, I door knocked every day. Yeah, because I think
you did.
Yes, exactly. So going back to that, I was talking to Melba. I was 8 months in, talking to Melba about a contract, and I really cannot remember the conversation or the questions that I was asking her. At that time, Melba was the team leader, and Melba said, "We need you." And I said, Melba, I have a question. And Melba said, I just like the questions that you're asking. And I said, and Melba said, look, I would do anything to have you work with us. I'm like, Melba, I'm not looking for a job. And Melba said, I know. This is the opportunity that we have. And at that time, the job of the position of director of agent services was open. And Melba was looking for someone to fill that position. And I said, Melba, I don't know if you understand. I've never had a job in my life. I don't know how to ask for a day off. I am a hard worker, but I've never had a job. I mean, I just haven't. I didn't have that experience. And Melba said, I'm like, okay, give me some time to think about it. So I came back. It was a Friday afternoon. I came back home and I had a conversation with my husband, and we always knew exactly what we needed. Even when you move somewhere, we knew that people are a currency. And by the way, I didn't knew at that time that was a currency. I took this from Gary Keller, by the way. But I knew I needed relationships. I knew I needed to build relationships. And that was one of the reasons why real estate attracted me. So we had the conversation and we said, okay, how do you build relationships at a faster pace? Is it selling homes or being in a leadership position? Mm-hmm. We thought about it and we said, okay, so I think that being in a leadership position might create more opportunities for us, because it was not about the money that you earn. Obviously, you don't make as much as you do as an agent, as a support system, right? But we saw the opportunity, and Melba did a great job. She is amazing at. She did a great job at explaining the opportunity. And I came back to the office on Monday. We had the appointment scheduled since Friday, and I said, "Okay, Melba, I'm ready." Mm-hmm. In that second, she said, "Okay, what deals do you have going on? You're going to have to refer those." I'm like, "What?" And I did, because again, it was either you're all in or you're not. And that was always my thought process. So then she took me to lunch and she looked at me and she said, now that you chose your path, where do you want to go? And what can I help you with? And I remember it was 5 years ago, and this is so crazy that I literally get chills. I said, I want to be a team leader. And Melba said, okay, think about this. 5 years ago, my accent was heavier, right? So I said, I want to be, now that I've chosen this path, I want to be, that's all I knew, right? What can you become? I wanted to become a team leader, right? So I want to be a team leader. And Melba said, okay, great. What can I help you with? And I told Melba, introduce me to every single person you know. I just need you to introduce me to people. I just need to meet people. That's all I need. I don't need anything else. I just need to meet people. And Melba said, you got it. She looked at me. She looked at me like, what? Like, yeah. Right? But then she said, you got it. So ever since then, this is what I can tell you what Melba did for me. She literally changed the trajectory of my life. She did that in a good way. Yeah. Not only that she changed the trajectory of my life, she speeded the process, because there's a process, right? You grow and then you build relationships. I keep telling her, Melba, she's like, no, I didn't do anything for you. You did it all. She saved me at least 5 years.
Yeah.
At least 5 years, because it's about time, right? She saved me at least 5 years just by pushing me and by, believing in me.
Yeah, I love that. Well, you said two things that I really like. You said people are currency, mm-hmm. which I completely believe in. And you saw an opportunity. And sometimes we have to take a step backwards to take a step forwards. And it's not so much, this is what I want to do in this moment. This is, do I take this opportunity and does it get me closer to what I want, right? We want it now. You want to be a team leader. You want it now. But what you didn't see was that you're an agent, mm-hmm. and then you're an agent services, mm-hmm. director of agent services. And I think you revolutionized that role, especially within North Atlanta. And then you became an assistant team leader, right? You were actually behaving a lot like an assistant team leader as a director of agent services. And I want people to hear that, because in order to get the next opportunity, you have to start behaving like the person in that opportunity now, right? Mm-hmm. And then when you became assistant team leader, guess what? You started acting like a team leader. Mm-hmm. And when you start acting as if, it starts coming true.
Yeah, that is so true. And what I can tell you, Andy, is that Matt Teeter when you first offered me that opportunity to be coached by Matt Teeter,
you earned that opportunity. I didn't give it to you.
Thank you. This is what he said. He said, I'm not going to coach an assistant team leader. I'm coaching a team leader, and you better act like it. Mm-hmm. Or I'm not going to coach you. And I like being pushed. I mean, leaders like being pushed, right? I was pushed all my life by my mom, right? It was never enough. It was not about me never being enough. It was the achievements were never enough because you can do more. Yes, great, congratulations. Now what's next? It's always that question, what's next? And yes, behaving like the person that you want to become. I've learned that actually from my husband. Mm-hmm. Ever since I was 22.
Yeah. We all just have to make a decision, right? Decide. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's who Melba is for me. I just.
Yeah.
She's my American mom. Let's put it that way. She takes care of me here. She's my American mom.
Me too. Thank you, Melba. So, and you've had some, I mean, you had Matt Teeter in your life. You've also had this guy, Aubrey Bailey, in your life. Tell me about, what have you learned from Aubrey, and, what has he meant to your journey?
Aubrey is a continuous lesson for me. I am just amazed of being able to witness how systems work. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm seeing high achievement because it's based on systems, and because Aubrey is very systematic. And he is living that systematic life, and therefore he can predict the results. So I'm seeing that. What also Aubrey taught me, and remember my positivity and the first thought that you always control, that you can control, and all the other ones that you can control. This is what he taught me, and it was a huge aha for me when he verbalized it in front of me. He's like, look, there are two types of people in this world. It is the yes, let's find out how, and the no, this is why. And you are the yes, let's find out how person. And I took a step back and I said, oh my God, I made it. Yeah. I made it to change my natural behavior, right? Because it's not usually my instinct was, that was like 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It's no, this is why. Right. That's the instinct, right? But you can change that. And it's not easy to change. I'm not saying that, oh, don't worry about it. It's so easy. It's not. It takes years and years and years and years of practice and of practice at the end of the day, and what you feed your brain with. But that's when Aubrey said that to me. When I hear that, I always think about Aubrey. Also, he taught me that you can predict anything. It's just having a plan. Yeah. It's having a plan. So he's an ongoing lesson for me, and I admire him a lot. Yeah. Talk to me about Big Why. What does that look like for you now? Obviously, now I'm going to sound, obviously my Big Why is my daughter, right? I mean, I'm a family person. But more than that, my Big Why are people. Mm-hmm. And I don't want people to think, oh my gosh, she really doesn't love, I love my family. I'm obsessed with my daughter says, oh my God, it's just family, just the family time. I'm like, yeah. But it's more than that, it's people. And my mission is to, and I have it, I have it because I sent it to you. And my mission is to impact lives globally through creating opportunities for others, and also to inspire people choose their destiny. I've heard so many times that it just makes me sick. I've heard so many times, oh, of course they can do it because something is in their life that was given to them. You can achieve anything you put your mind to if you want it bad enough.
And you don't
all
quit.
you need is the desire to want it and take action. So my big why is actually it sounds egocentric and is not. I really, really want people to, I want to be an inspiration to people, that they can choose their destiny. And I want to create opportunities for others. And I want to impact as many lives as I can and as many people as I can. My daughter, I want her, the legacy that I want for her is obviously financial. Everybody wants that, right? I don't want her to worry about finances at all. But more than that, I want to impact generations to come. And again, I'm coming from a good family. I've never been through very, very hard situations. And yet, I want to make an impact on generations to come.
Love that. Well, and I love in this mission statement that you shared with us, you used the word globally.
Mm-hmm.
Your impact is not just in Keller Williams North Atlanta. Obviously, you have a massive impact on our Georgia Legacy Group. But talk to us about your international opportunities, especially with Keller Williams. What does that look like, and how did all that happen?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for asking that. And by the way, that was not given to me either. I pushed for it. And anybody watching this has the same opportunity. Please push for it. Just push whatever you want, push for it and ask and tell it to the world, and it's going to happen. So what happened was we went to a family reunion about 3 years ago or something like that. And you know that at family reunion, they invite all the countries with the flags and right. And I heard Romania and I was shocked. Melba was looking at me. I was looking at Melba and we were like, excuse me? That was on my 135.
Yeah.
That was on my 411. It's already open. I did not even know. I just didn't know. So it was funny because that night, Melba and I have a great relationship. And when we walk through the hotels, people think we're drunk, even though we're not. Because we laugh a lot. And we bumped into someone that had an accent. And Melba was like, oh my God, are you from Australia? And that guy was like, no, I'm from England. And we opened the conversation and I asked, are you an agent? He's like, no, I'm actually the OP. I'm like, oh, really? I'm from Romania originally. And we just saw on the stage that it opened, KW opened in Romania, and I didn't know, and that was on my 135. And he's like, okay. So he actually asked me, he's like, so are you planning to become an investor? I'm like, I would love to, but I just need to find out who do I need to talk to. And he picked up his phone and he sent an email to Bill Stotteroff. That second, Carl copied me, and Bill Stotteroff responded in 10 minutes, and he connected me with the OP in Romania. And at that time, my husband was in Romania, and I called him like, you have to change your flight, and you're gonna stay a week longer, and please go meet with this guy who's the OP in Romania and have a conversation and see what would it take for us to become investors. So he's like, I thought you want me to come. I'm like, no, plans have changed. So this is how the opportunity was created and how everything happened. And then my husband met with the OP there. And then now we are, 2 years later, we are investors in 3 market centers in Romania. And if people think, oh my God, you're making so much money, we're depositing, if everybody remembers what Tommy Choi said, I love that, by the way. I used it in so many conversations. We are in the depositing phase right now in order to be able to withdraw later. So we're depositing relationships, we're depositing training, we're depositing money, we're depositing a lot into that ATM to be able to withdraw later. But I'm so I cannot describe the feeling that you get when you have the opportunity to make an impact, to impact an industry in a country. And the way business is conducted is just, I don't know, it's an amazing opportunity. It's an amazing feeling.
So cool. I've had, it reminds me of conversations that I've had with people that have left our company. And they say, you know, Andy, I'll never be in the room with Gary, or I'll never be an OP. I'll never be an investor, within Keller Williams. And that's sad to me. Like, for somebody to say that out loud and to give up on what it is that they want, like, it makes me want to shake them, right? Because there's so many stories just like yours that all you did was just push yourself into the next room. And whenever you find yourself in a room where you're the smartest person, you're in the wrong room, right? You got to get somewhere else. You got to get a little uncomfortable. And the great part about this company is that you're never going to be the smartest person in the room, right? You're never going to be the highest performer. And you see the top performers change in the company all the time. You see the top market centers change all the time. So it's just this constant growth. But it starts with, what do you want?
Yeah.
And getting real clear on what you want. And so, I think what's such an inspiration coming out of this and hearing your story is, to go in 6 years from getting your license to being a team leader within Keller Williams in a top 10 market center. And I know it's top 7. But
I wanted to say that, but
country, like that's pretty cool, right? That's so inspirational for anybody out there that just don't ever put garbage in your head and say you can't do stuff. Like, what's the next step you need to make in order to get closer to that goal? Who's the next person? If we use people as currency, who do you need to know?
And honestly, I think that is the speed that I've grown at here and that I've evolved at here. I think it's due to the people around me. People like Melba, like Aubrey, like you at the end of the day, that believe in you. But if you think about that, how do people believe in you? Honestly, I truly believe that hard work beats talent over time, every time. And the experience that I've had in the past taught me not to be intimidated by anything and anyone. It's just that even when I honestly met Mark Spain 10 years ago, I was at a fall festival and I was an agent, right? Just came in the country. He was at the fall festival, and when we introduced ourselves, he actually came to me and he said, "Oh, I'm just like you." And I'm like, "Oh, I know you're just 10, 15 years into this business." And I'm not. Right? Yeah. So yes, it's about time and how you use your time, and confidence.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you have to borrow that from other people.
Mm-hmm.
When you see somebody else exhibiting, again, the way you want to be, or attacking a problem a way that you wish you could attack it, like, what would it look like to just borrow their belief for a minute? And we use the what would Jesus do, or what would Gary do? Like, we use that acronym a lot. But the reason that we do that is so that we can put that sense of feeling on to empower us to make the right decisions.
Yeah.
So you're clearly making right decisions. And I'm just so thrilled and honored to be in business with you. And when we made the transition, by the way, that happened right in the nick of time.
It did.
To throw you a curveball right immediately. But what was really so awesome about that is that nobody transferred from North Atlanta. Nobody questioned that decision. In fact, it was just the opposite. Everybody said, "Well, of course," right? So what is it that we do in our business when we find success that everybody says, "Well, yeah, of course"? I think there's a lot of inspiration in that.
Yes, and honestly, there are a few reasons. Do you remember my natural behavior showing up that time when I said, let's wait a week or two. Do you remember that? I was not thinking negatively. However, my natural behavior of skepticism told me you should give it a week or two and see if people are looking for other brokerages, right? Yeah. So the point is this. Thank you. I think that you and all, I think that our family members, right, the KWNA agents understood that it's all about caring, right? And when you care for, all I want is for them to succeed, right? Every single agent, that's my main goal, is for every single agent at North Atlanta to succeed. If that is to become an MREA team, that's great. And I'm going to do everything I can, everything in my, not everything I can, everything that can be done, because that's a huge difference in pushing them to reach that goal. Or if that is to be a capper. So I think it's coming from the teamwork that we've built there, and from the fact that Aubrey and I worked amazingly well as a team. Amazingly well. And I think it shows until now. They did not lose a leader. And thanks to you and Aubrey, I think that our agents see that. They didn't lose a leader. So what it takes, I think it's care, and I think it's genuinity. Honestly, I think it's genuinity, because at the end of the day, Aubrey is very technical. So both of us have different strengths, right? And I've learned so much from Aubrey. Aubrey is very technical. He knows how to sell real estate. Are you kidding me? I mean, he does. That's his strength, right? I know business. I mean, that's my passion. My passion is to help agents develop that business mindset. And what's funny about it, when I don't know if you remember, if you were on the call when I interviewed Leslie, and on one of our GLG calls, when she said, I actually am excited about this challenge, right, that we have been thrown into, not about the coronavirus or anything like that, or the impact that it's having on the economy, but about the challenge, about the fact that I'm being pushed to think. I am honestly, I'm excited about it. It's odd, it sounds strange, but I see the opportunity behind this crisis, or behind this coronavirus situation. I honestly see an opportunity.
Yeah, I do too. I think we're all going to be better. We're certainly going to learn to have done business differently, and as a result of that, I believe we become better. Well, thank you. This has been awesome. This has actually been what I would hope that these conversations go like. So thanks for being here. Thanks for pouring into your people. Don't stop, right? Take a little bit more time off for your family. Other than that, you and I are good.
Thank you for pouring into me every single day, Andy. You and I can say that you, Matt Teeter, Aubrey, and Melba are the leaders that make me better every day. So thank you.
Well, as Gary told us on stage, they don't give any awards for the person who did it all by themselves.
Yeah. Oh my God, that is so deep. Yeah.
There's no award for that.
It's a team effort.
That's right.
So thank you for making this easy on me. It was
great. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.